before so much paralyzing terror.
The sadistic leader of the Bloody Brew, whose only philosophy is anything goes.
Werewolves and vampires will reign supreme.
Pay for the whole story. Your memory's the edge.
Things will happen that have never been seen by human beings.
What's up, weirdos, and welcome to the Weirdoverse. I'm your host, JD Ross, your favorite digital cult leader, and you are listening to Weirdwide. I'm feeling good today, weirdos. Sometimes the stars just align themselves perfectly. I'm rocking a fresh haircut, so I'm feeling pretty fly for a white guy today. If you're watching on the YouTube, you may notice that I've upgraded the look of the show just a little bit. Weirdwide is a fully DIY show, so I just kind of make little upgrades here and there when I'm able to. So I did a bit of work on the camera angle setup, and I got an upgraded background setup as well. And I, for one, think it's looking pretty good. And to top it all off, the Weirdoverse is once again being invaded by aliens. So it's a triple win kind of day here. Now, before we jump in, I got to give a little bit of a shout out. Today's episode topic was suggested by a buddy of mine on the interwebs who goes by the net handle Return of Mad Juan. How cool is that fucking name, by the way? Mad Juan. It's a gnarly fucking name, and I fucking love it. Now, Mad Juan has been a supporter of Weirdwide from the very start. He reached out to suggest the weirdness that is on today's menu. So remember, everyone at home, be more like Mad Juan. If you've got something you want me to cover, shoot me over an email at weirdwidepodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Instagram and TikTok. I'm on there as Dudus Weirdo. I'd love to hear from you. Now, on to today's topic. Today, we are talking about the famous Area 51 coast-to-coast AM phone call. For those of you that aren't in the know, let's give a little bit of background. So to set the stage, we have to first know what is coast-to-coast AM. Coast-to-Coast AM is a syndicated late-night radio show that runs from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It was created in 1988 by longtime host Art Bell, evolving from a political call-in show in the late 70s called West Coast AM. Moving from a political-centric show to more of a focus on the paranormal, conspiracy theories, and generally weird shit, Coast to Coast was not only a hit, became one of the most listened to shows on the time slot, but it was also a precursor to opening up the public consciousness to things of a stranger nature. So Weirdwide 100% has Coast to Coast AM and Art Bell to thank for inspiration for what we do here. Now, as I said, Art Bell hosted the show from its inception in 1988 until his retirement in 2000. Various hosts have taken the reins since then, most notably George Norrie, but Art will always be recognized as the classic voice of the show. Art did come back to Coast here and there and even launched other shows after, but sadly, Art Bell passed away in 2018. Rest in peace. So now that we have some background, let's look at the specific incident that we're talking today. Now, on September 11th, 1997, a very eerie date considering what the future was to hold, Art was asking for call-ins that evening for employees or former employees of Area 51. Not only did Art get those calls, but he got a call that night that would become one of the more famous calls on Coast to Coast AM. Now, a man named Brian calls in, and he claims to have been a former employee of Area 51. Very frantic. He's very upset sounding, right? And he makes a lot of wild claims. One of them being that early precursor of the NASA space program met with aliens, but the aliens aren't what they think. The aliens are actually interdimensional beings, right? Not space aliens, interdimensional aliens. And that there's a bunch of disasters planned, all this different kind of shit. Now, that's normal fare for Coast to Coast AM. You're going to have all kinds of wackadoodles calling in like that, right? But the weird thing is what happened next is the power and the signal was actually cut during the phone call, leading a lot of people to speculate that maybe this wasn't just some random wackadoodle. Maybe this was somebody that actually knew what they were talking about. Now let's listen to the call. The call is pretty harrowing, actually. It's a little bit like it's one of those things. It's really stuck with me for years since originally hearing the call. So let's listen to the actual call itself, and we'll see what you think.
On my Area 51 line, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharged.
Here's where it gets a little bit extra weird here.
I started getting...
Well, this was certainly interesting. We are now on a backup system, everybody. A backup system. And that one caller that I had on the air, I guess we were about in the middle of his transmission, his telephone call, which was one of the strangest ones I've ever had. And the entire transmitting system by satellite went down here, and we were notified we were off the air. And it would appear to be from this end and some sort of massive transmit failure. So we are now using a backup system to be on the air. And not that I would normally believe this kind of thing, mind you, but I can't help but wonder if somebody zapped us in some way. We'll find out.
So there's Art wondering if somebody zapped them in some way. So, even Art, Art used to seeing and hearing a bunch of weird shit. Even he was a little bit shaken by it. So, that's definitely one of the things. Now, there's so much to really look at here. I mean, first of all, this happening on September 11th, when only a few short years after that, a pretty big situation. I don't know if you heard about it, but 2001, September 11th, obviously a massive date in American history that could be interpreted as one of the disasters that was to come. Could be. I don't know. I'm not sure if that one really lines up. I feel like that's a little bit more of a coincidence. But I don't know. The guy did seem genuine. The guy did seem like there was definitely a realness to his voice. I don't know. As myself as a seeker, as a seeker of truth, I am one to generally believe this kind of thing. It's just hard for me not to. I don't know. Now, the really weird part was the power going down. That had not happened anytime in Coast to Coast history, had not happened since. So that definitely does give a little bit of extra credence to the conspiracy theory. His signal was triangulated upon, and the men in black shut his shit down. They shut it down because you got to stop the signal. Well, you can't stop the signal. Don't forget that. That's right. So as weird as that one is, about a week later, Art received another phone call from a guy claiming to be Brian, or the Area 51 caller. Let's listen to that call.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hi, Art. This is Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hello. You didn't disconnect me before, did you?
Were you on earlier tonight?
No, not, towards the end of the last hour, you said, East of the Rockies, you're on the air, and your voice was immediately replaced by the operator saying, your party has not connected.
Oh, well, see, as you can now tell, I don't screen calls. So
Right.
what happened, obviously, was that I answered the phone just at the very instant that you had been ringing as long as they were going to let you ring.
Yeah.
And so that occurs, obviously, sometimes I go to a line and it's dead and nobody's there, and that's what's happened. You know, we just were on the cusp there. Anyway, I'm glad you made it back through.
Yeah, you got all my paranoia buttons running. I always get very nervous when I call you. I'm Brian. I hung up on you last week.
Oh, I see.
And I just figured, damn the torpedoes. I'll just do this and let the chips fall where they will.
All right.
Everybody, I am the Area 51 caller. That's my statement, and let you or whatever tear it apart.
You claim you're the Area 51?
I am the man.
How do you account for the fact, Area 51 caller,
Okay.
that part of the way through your spiel, the satellite went down?
I have no idea, and it scared the heebie-jeebies out of me that night. I've called a number of times on your specialty line nights doing different, kind of wacky characters, and that's all that one was supposed to be. And if the call had been completed, it would have been ancient history by now.
Has it occurred to you, as Barbara Marx Hubbard suggested tonight, that perhaps, if you're really what you say you are, you created the reality of the rest of the situation and took down my satellite?
That scares the heebie-jeebies out of me because it means that what I was saying was somehow correct, and it was fabrication, kind of
creating a reality.
Yeah, if that was the case, I humbly apologize to you because I love your show, and the last thing I would ever want to do is
knock me off the
air. So what can I do to prove my claim here?
Well, I guess you could give us a little of what you gave us then so that we could hear it and know it to be you.
Are you sure you want me to do that, Art?
I'm positive.
Don't, Art, please. I don't want you to ask me to do this. If I start doing that guy,
You're right about that. Now, let's just take that little sample that you just gave us so that we don't alter some sort of horrid little reality here at the end of the program, and we'll let the callers be the judge.
Okay.
All right?
I thank you for this opportunity. This has just been driving me bananas for months, and I didn't know what you wanted me to do. I knew it was very difficult for me to prove to you. But I just thank you for your patience in dealing with me up to this time.
All right, it's quite all right. Thank you. Fritz in Phoenix, as a matter of fact, called and said, oh, yes, that's him. Somebody else said, oh, no. Now he has done his little Area 51 caller IMO, or the real thing, depending on what you think. And so we'll leave it up to all of you. That is what you think.
So I don't know. As I listen to the second one, he does sound a little bit like him. I'll give you that. He definitely sounds a little bit like him. But he also, I don't know, it's almost too perfect. It's almost like it just seems like it's too perfect of a package. Too neat, you know. I also there's a moment there because this is supposed to be a week after the original call. So this is September, theoretically September like 17th or something like that. But the caller mentions that it's been bothering him for months. I feel like that was a bit of a slip up there. I don't know. I've definitely read a lot of, for what it's worth, I read a lot of comments on the internet about it. A lot of people, there's some people have claimed they've ran it through different noise, sampling things to test to see, different like high tech shit they didn't have back then to see. And some say it didn't match up. I don't know. It's close, but it could be anything. It could be, let's just put our conspiracy hats on a little bit. Could be government agents. I could have easily hired a voice actor to call in to just hey, it's all good. It's all good. It was just nothing. But it still doesn't explain why the satellite went down. It doesn't explain why they were taken off the air. So can't help but wonder. Now, a lot of people have claimed to have been Brian the caller, a lot of people over the years. Now, one person in particular, it is the closest thing that, anyone can really think, maybe that's him. A fella named Brian J.L. Glass. He's a comic book writer out of, I believe, Philly. He's written for Marvel Comics, things like that. Like I said, he's one of many, but he claims to be the infamous Area 51 caller. But a lot of people doubt that he is the caller or was the caller. And to this day, he has no proof. He wouldn't have any proof, though. How could he prove it? How could he prove it one way or another? So I don't know. I don't know, Brian. I wasn't there. I tend to be the type to believe, I'm a seeker. Like I said, I'm a seeker. I tend to believe the weirder, the stranger. So I don't know. Again, the disasters that were described, the major population centers being wiped out, those have not come to pass yet. I'll admit that. However, we have no idea what kind of timetable that kind of thing is working on. So there's really no way to know. So, like many things in the UFO zeitgeist, like many things in paranormal, ufology, all of the above, it's just something that we will never know for sure. So all we can do is wonder. So I want to know what you think. I want you to shoot me an email at weirdwidepodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what your thoughts on it are. Do you think that it was a real deal? Do you think the guy that called in a week later was the same guy? Do you think that the original guy may have been shut down? Do you think he's dead? Do you think he really worked for Area 51? All these burning questions we have. I want to know what you think. So thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave a review on Google Podcasts. We like 5-star reviews. We like that around here. So, if you like what you're hearing, just take a minute to do that for us. Again, let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you hate. Hit me up on Instagram and TikTok under Dudist Weirdo. If you haven't yet, join the mailing list. You can get the episode emailed directly to you every week. The link for that is going to be in the episode description. And until next week, keep watching the skies and keep it weird.